you know why I'm at this Verizon store? It's because I'm moving out of New York City and I have to return my router. I'm moving out and I cannot believe that. Obviously sad to leave all this gorgeous decor behind. I've made everything my own, but obviously everything comes to an end. It's a time and I'm going away. I'm moving away. It's the last piece of artwork up on my wall in my first New York City apartment. After living in New York for 1 year, I decided I'm leaving. I'll tell you where I'm moving at the end of the video. Living in New York City has been a privilege and a dream that I don't take for granted. From being able to make deep and real friendships to getting to watch my favorite artists live. Living here has allowed me to explore, grow, have so much fun, and hopefully learn more about the world. I got to learn to live alone. My expectations of living in New York City were both met and exceeded, and also I was underwhelmed at times too. It's Sunday, 10 a.m., June 12th. These are my last full days in New York City. I am done with school. I'm not working, so I have a lot of free time. I have some random errands to do, random work, but mostly I'm also just like having fun. I have some writing to do and some editing, but my main priority is having a good time, and I can't believe I get to do that in the summer in New York. Damn, it's almost been a year since I've been living here, and after this I'm gonna be like, that was so fun. And I think all the time I do so many fun things, and then I'm like, wait, I can't even believe I did that. I can't even believe I live this cool of a life sometimes. Let's go. I remember wearing this sweater on one of the most New York nights ever. The social life here was unbeatable. There are so many places to go to, and not just one type of place. Yes, there's a lot of it is around food, but there's also events, there's pop-ups. This is a sweater I crocheted, and I never really wear it because I don't know how to wash it, so I just use it as like kind of like a jacket. And it's awkward because it's like not warm enough, and it's very chunky, so you can't really layer on top because the sleeves are way too wide. But when I do wear it, you know, it's gotta be for a special event. So on this night, what had happened was my friend and I went to watch Dear Evan Hansen in Village East by Angelica, the one that's super nice. And then afterwards, she was like, my old neighbor living in Alphabet City is having a party. Do you want to go? And I was like, okay, sure. And we showed up, and it was super fun, and it was a basement party, and I was like, I am so living in New York right now. Like, I didn't know anyone, but we had a blast. I had like 3 friends there, and other than them, I didn't know anyone, and everyone was all different ages from different places, because a lot of people in New York are transplants. They're here for work or for school. And then after that, I ran into some other people I knew when we left, and I was like, damn, like, that happens a lot when you just like run into random people you know from like so many different parts of your life, and then things cross, and like even if it's just that moment of saying hello, you're brought back to what you were like at that time. And then I think about, wow, like, but I'm here right now, and you know, hey, you, younger you're living the life you wanted to, so don't disappoint your younger self. And in that night, like, it wasn't an accomplishment, it was just like a really fun night, and we like went on a rooftop and we were like vibing. Someone was playing guitar, someone was singing. It was just super chill, and like I was very present, you know. I love those moments, and I loved living in New York for that. It's nice parks to walk around, sightsee. Of course, one of the cons is when it's cold, you don't really want to go outside so much, but I would say the weather is decent about 10 months of the year. Like, you obviously need a jacket, but it's very, very doable to live here. I would say 8 months of the year it's warm, and then
the other 4 months is like when it gets a bit colder. Another part of the social life that is great is that it's easy to meet friends of friends and make friends with them. So then your whole like friend group can get bigger, you can make more friends. A pro of being a vegan in New York City is that there are a lot of options. I'm the type of person who's pretty picky, so I'll look at the menu beforehand, but there have been times where I just am walking on the street and I'm like, oh, this place is vegan, let's go in and see what it is. Like yesterday, I stumbled upon a new restaurant by Blue Note Jazz Club called Organic Grill, and I went in and I was like, how have I never seen this? I'm here all the time. How have I never seen this place? And then they said they just opened 1 month ago, and I was like, okay, that makes more sense. Another thing that's a con about living in New York City is the vegan food is super expensive in certain places, right? If they're labeled vegan, they tend to be more expensive versus like if you get a platter of steamed vegetables with rice at a Thai restaurant, it's not labeled vegan, but it most likely is. So it just is a bit cheaper, even though Thai food can be kind of expensive sometimes. Some of my favorite vegan spots, I would say Buddha Badai in Chinatown is so good, and it's definitely on the cheaper side. Their fake BBQ meat is amazing. You can also do family style there and get dim sum, so that you can try a lot of different things. Spicy Moon can be hit or miss depending on what you get. I don't like their Dan Dan noodles. Planta Queen is definitely more on the more expensive side. It is good, but I wouldn't like make it my regular spot because of the price. Le Botaniste, I don't like that place. I don't know why. I think like it's perfect for me. Like I love bowls, but I don't like that place. Chipotle, you know, reliable. Obviously not a New York City exclusive, not a city exclusive at all, but it's very reliable. I've heard there's an Ethiopian place in Brooklyn that's really good, a vegan Ethiopian place. I've been to an Ethiopian place in Harlem. I can't remember the name, but that was really good. I believe it begins with an A. Very good prices as well. Another con is that the quality of the produce is pretty bad. Maybe it's just where I'm shopping, but I find that the food is like rots really easily, like fruits and veggies I'm talking about. So sometimes I have to rely on frozen things, which isn't that great.
Done. Year 1 of living in New York City, and now I'm headed somewhere else. Living in New York City has been great for 1 year, but now I'm going somewhere else. I'm going out of the country. You know, you think about all those times where you're like, oh my god, I loved living in this apartment. And then you remember the loud heating that would never work, the uneven floors, the unpolished floors, the bathroom being broken half the time. This was an amazing place, great rent, but now we're out.
Obviously a big con of living here is the rent. The cost of living is insanely high. If you are living in a cheaper apartment, there are definitely going to be some problems, whether they're told to you or not at the time of you signing the lease. If you are signing a year-long lease, for example, there could be faulty flooring, mold, poor heating, which is kind of hard to tell if it's bad heating if you move in during the summer, which is when a lot of people move in. No air conditioning. Well, that's a lot of units, right? So you have to put an air conditioning in the wall. But sometimes, like, also, this is just a problem with air conditioning in general, how it's so loud. And that's, I don't know, loud like that, I guess. But I don't think you could escape that. I don't know if, like, even in a luxury apartment, it's probably pretty loud there too. But in general, like, I want, like, a silent AC. Is Dyson gonna invent that? Is that already a thing? I just don't know. Silent AC is gonna be the top of my list when I move into. It's gonna be the top of my list. Yeah, another problem could be not enough closet space. So what I had done was put a lot of storage on first. Put a lot of my stuff under my bed, which created a lot of storage, so that was good. And when I tell you that my heating sounded like someone was knocking on my door with a heavy pan for hours on end, like that is exactly what it was. I'm not even joking. I wish I was joking, because the heating, like, it was rough because it was so loud, and I think that's just what happens when you don't live in like a luxury apartment building sometimes, which, like, that shouldn't be the case to live in like these bad conditions. So that is something that's a part of the New York experience, because I know my 2 other friends also had similar experiences. Another thing I thought, I was kind of surprised at this, that I never felt like my apartment was too small. I thought maybe I would at some point. I'd either feel claustrophobic or feel like, oh my god, I need to like get out of this New York City bubble. Personally, like I know people have felt that way and they want like a getaway or they want to go back to their hometown, and I am lucky that I didn't feel that way, but I know not everyone feels like this. There are days where I was like barely in my apartment, and it would kind of depend on like my school work schedule, my social schedule. And then there were days where I was like there for 3 days in a row. Of course I went outside and I went to class, but that's like the bare minimum, right? So for people who work from home, it's definitely going to be a different situation if that is what they're doing most of the time, because at least I was going to class in person. Something that's amazing is certain areas are very, very walkable, where you can just walk and stumble upon something, like I did with Organic Grill the other day, the vegan restaurant. I will say, like, not every place is very walkable for me, because it's I can't eat everywhere for food purposes, but it's walkable. Like, a lot of certain areas are walkable that are like super gorgeous to just explore, and you don't have to buy anything. But sometimes you end up doing it. I was in Fide the other day and I was like, oh my god, there's a McNally Jackson here. I've been meaning to go there for months. Let's see what this one is. I went inside. I was like, I'm not going to buy anything because I usually buy secondhand books if I'm buying them. And I came out with a full-on like haul of stationery, notebooks, and a book, which was really good. It was Conditional Citizens by Layla Leilani. I had been meaning to read it. I'm glad I picked it up because it was very, very good. All marked up now. Another thing that's nice about New York City, obviously, is transportation, because I prefer not to live in a city where I have to drive, which is a lot of cities, unfortunately. And I can get that time back, whether it's like just listening to music, relaxing, a podcast, or if it's a longer commute ride, I can read. And I feel like I've definitely become a reader with a routine now. If I'm going on like a daily commute, I would just read a book and carry that book with me everywhere. Or if I'm just going to the park to read, like, I think it's very easy to go outside and do something, and that's the case for a lot of places, right? You can just like take your book and go anywhere. That's not a New York City exclusive thing, it's just something I like to do. But for whatever reason, in the past year, I've been pretty diligent about creating a reading routine and going out of my way to read and going to nice spots to read, because I think that's like fun, and it's a fun little activity. You don't always have to do everything like in isolation alone. You can do it like in public alone as well. You don't have to do it indoors, is what I mean. And I want to be able to appreciate the weather when it's great, because it's not always great. It's not always fun to sit outside just for the heck of sitting outside. Another related to reading, there's also the New York Public Library app, which is amazing, obviously. I gotta say, New York is great because so many things are close by. I think the most I had to travel was like 50 minutes, which can feel like a long trip, but luckily my commute was around 30 to 40 minutes on the further end, and 25 is like a typical expectation of how far I have to go regardless of where I'm going. And sometimes I feel like in New York City I'm having a lot of fun. Of course, like, I've been a student and I work part-time, so it's not like I have all the responsibilities of a usual adult living here, and I'm very lucky about that. So sometimes I feel like I just look around and I'm like, damn, I get to live in New York. I'm very, very lucky and fortunate that I get to do that, because not everyone can do that. I'm like, sometimes I just stop and I look around and I'm like, damn, I live in New York. I live in a freaking movie. I live near all this beauty. How is that like real, you know? I never feel like life isn't real. I always just feel like, I think sometimes things just feel very intense, and that's fun for me. Like, I want to be happy. I want to feel euphoric. And I want to feel like, damn, like I am living the life I want to live. That's just a very satisfying and like exciting and optimistic feeling to have, that you feel like you are actually kind of reaching the potential of what you want to live as like your ideal life. It's not always the case, definitely not. There have been times where I'm like, oh my god, it's so cold, I am miserable, I don't want to go outside, I don't want to walk to the train, I don't want to walk to wherever I need to go, I don't want to carry my groceries back, especially if you live up a walk-up, which is very unfortunate, especially like on a higher floor, right? Which could be another like con of living in New York City if you're trying to find a more affordable apartment than like an extremely unaffordable apartment.
And then this shirt, I remember wearing this when I was in San Francisco last summer, and like I was editing those videos last summer in this apartment. And I'm just like, damn, those summer days where I was chilling here, super hot, AC was blasted, could barely hear my audio because the AC was so loud. And my desk was in a different part of my room. Like, just crazy to think like that's what I was doing a year ago.
Oh, another thing I'm gonna miss about New York City is like the thrifting scene. So comparing it to those four places, I would say New York City has pretty good thrifting if you go to L Vintage, the bigger one in Brooklyn. There's a couple, they have multiple locations, but that one is just cheaper. I'm definitely gonna miss that because they have like great winter stuff, great sweaters. I haven't been thrifting there in a minute, but I have bought some dresses from there that I really like.
This is one of the first dresses I thrifted at L Vintage. Took me to Puerto Rico. Took me, had some iconic photos of it, I will say. This is super comfortable, perfect length. I did alter it a bit, but like, didn't really need it. Man, the amount of alterations I did in this apartment with my sewing machine. Just adding to the sound pollution that is music in New York.
That was a fun activity for me to do, and when I go abroad, I have to be like an extreme minimalist because it's like, how am I gonna travel internationally with all this stuff? So I can't like thrift there unless I plan to donate it again, because I don't know how much stuff I can bring, and I'm just getting very existential about how I'm gonna bring everything, how I'm gonna bring everything back. So I'm probably have to leave a lot of stuff, and I'm scared about it, but I'll figure it out. My voice is kind of shot because I've been talking a lot. Not right now, just like past couple days.
Watch what you say.
Yeah, I'm gonna miss just like running into my friends in random places, sometimes running into celebrities, which is like kind of cool. Sometimes even like talking to strangers, because here I don't have a language barrier, right? Like I speak English luckily, and a lot of people here speak English as well, and sometimes like you have a funny conversation with strangers, like, and you get to hear their stories, whether that's like here in Washington Square Park or somewhere else, right? It's a pretty like eccentric areas, depending on where you are and who you interact with. I'm not gonna miss how expensive it is. I'm curious to see how my like monthly spendings are gonna compare groceries wise and travel wise. So where am I going next? I'm going a couple places, which is really exciting. I'm going to Spain, and then I'm going to Prague, which is funny because I say the country and then I say the city, but the only reason is because in Spain I'm going to Santiago de Compostela, which a lot of people don't know is in Spain, at least like the people I've talked to. So I say Spain, and then Czech Republic, which is, I will be in Prague. Both are actually sister cities. They're both medieval cities. Why am I going there? Partly it's like language, and partly it's just kind of worked out that way. I'm studying abroad there. I'm so lucky that I get to do this, especially in COVID. A lot of study abroad opportunities were shut down and we couldn't do anything. So I'm very fortunate I get to do this, and I know I want to live in the US afterwards, so this is a great opportunity for me to go abroad and experience that and then still come back. Currently I'm in the process of getting my visa for the Czech Republic, and it's a bit complicated. They didn't approve the visa on the spot. They were a little scary because they probably have to deal with a lot of annoying people every single day, so that's totally reasonable. I either have to do power of attorney or I have to come back to the country to get a stamp in my passport. I'm like, this is kind of like difficult. I think growing up as a child of immigrants, you already are used to dealing with like papers and translating documents, like official documents, medical stuff. Like this one comedian was talking about. I'll insert her clip here.
When you're first generation, life is a little different. By the time I was 8, I was helping my family pay for bills and stuff, you know? Translating everything for them, translating medication, hoping I don't kill them, right? Like, no, drink dos, don't die.
But I'll figure it out, you know. And it's weird because I'm going abroad, but I'm getting like New York City FOMO already. I'm going to go experience something that's so different, and obviously I have some fears, like what if I don't make any friends? What if I don't get along with people? What if I hate it there? What if it's freezing? What if I hate the food? What if like there's no vegan options anywhere? like, I'm gonna try my best to stay vegan this whole trip, but I'm guessing like at some places I'm gonna have to be vegetarian. I don't want to eat cheese, but like, to quote Merle O'Neil, the great vegan of BuzzFeed, if the veggies are cooked in butter, I might just eat it. Because that could be like unavoidable if you're eating in a restaurant. I don't know if I'll have a kitchen. There's so much to consider. But the whole thing is like, going back to my point, I'm going abroad. I'm gonna go experience something that is very, very cool and not many people get to experience. Like, I'm very lucky to be able to do this. But I'm getting New York City FOMO. I'm like, oh my god, should I have just like stayed in New York for the next 6 months? Because like, it has just been such a positive experience overall, and like, I love my friends here. I feel like I have a great time, and I honestly, like, I got so many opportunities. I got to learn so much, and I'm like, maybe I should stay. But I know, like, I don't know when I'm gonna get this opportunity to go abroad in my lifetime again, and like, I hope I will, you know, but I don't know. So I'm just like gonna go to a foreign country and not speak the language. I'm gonna learn, but it's gonna be a fun time. New York City honestly has that much of a pull for me that I'm getting FOMO. Having not even left and having the opportunity to go abroad, I'm like, damn, but what are my friends gonna be doing? What is a country but a borderless sentence, a life? What is a country but a life sentence? You can color that in. You can call it the history of memory. Migration can be triggered by the angle of sunlight, indicating a change in season, temperature, plant life, and food supply. Female monarchs lay eggs along the route. Every history has more than one thread, each thread a story of division. The journey takes 4,830 miles, more than the length of this country. The monarchs that fly south will not make it back north. Each departure, then, is final. Only their children return. Only the future revisits the past. What is a country but a borderless sentence, a life? What is a country but a life sentence? I'm scared, but we're gonna do it, you know? And the cool thing is, like, I'm choosing to migrate. This isn't a forced migration. I'm not a refugee. It's not necessarily for like better opportunities, a better life, in hopes of a better life, right? Because I want to, and that's really cool, and I'm very lucky to be able to do that. And I'll probably continue to post some more New York City footage after this, because I have a lot of it backlogged for the past year, because I've been living here for a whole year, and I still have to like go through some of it. So I might be posting stuff out of order, but I will definitely see you when I'm in Spain, and I will definitely see you when I'm in Czech Republic. Bye, that's all for now. Thank you for watching.